Viewers, for a long time, there is a very organized and disgusting campaign going on against Islam all over the world. All the other nations of the world are being deliberately threatened that in the coming time, Islam will spread so fast that the culture and traditions of these nations will end. Any incident of terrorism is immediately associated with Muslims, and such statements are also given. In this regard, Europe is much ahead. But in the world, there are news that sometimes shake the heart of countries such as America, Canada, and New Zealand, which are considered champions of human rights. Such an incident took place a while ago in America, where a famous American model disrespected the Holy Quran, and he was given a lot of praise by such extremist Jewish and Christian circles. And a lot of financial help was also given to him. Not only this, but these Jewish and Christian circles also promoted him a lot for doing this obscene and disgusting work. And thus his work was increased. Friends, actually, this attitude is an example of that verse of the Holy Quran, in which Allah said that Jews and Christians can never be your friends. They are friends of each other against you, but they can never be friends of Muslims. Allah has repeated this fact more than once in the Holy Quran. But despite this, Muslims do not get tired of copying Jews and Christians and their friendship. Viewers, in America, especially after 9/11, while propagandizing the state machinery, the American people were especially hated by Muslims. But it is also a fact that after 9/11, all such actions have come to the necks of the infidels. And they did not get any special success in this. Rather, due to all these actions, the shame of accepting Islam has increased. All such incidents, as in France, where the Holy Quran was disrespected by the government, and in America, where Islam and Muslims were killed through a formal campaign, the difference in the results in these is devastating to the infidels. After all these incidents, hate was instilled in the minds of the people by using every possible weapon. But despite all this, the interest in Islam is increasing alongside the non-Muslim communities. According to a report, before 9/11, 10–15% of the Americans knew about Islam. But after 9/11, only 10–15% of the Americans do not know about Islam. From this, we can understand that this difference has actually come from the efforts of the infidels. After all these incidents, hate was instilled in the minds of the people by using every possible weapon. But despite all this, the interest in Islam is increasing alongside the non-Muslim communities. According to a report, before 9/11, 10–15% of the Americans knew about Islam. But after 9/11, only 10–15% of the Americans do not know about Islam. From this, we can understand that this difference has actually come from the efforts of the infidels, and the difference that they had to use at their will is being used against them. This model girl of America, whom we are talking about, is associated with a similar Dajjali media channel, whose work is to instill doubt and hatred in the minds of the people for the sake of giving news. This model was a good example even before doing this with the Holy Quran. But due to the greed of cheap fame, it came in the talks of those mischievous people of the Jews and Christians. Before this model has attended various talk shows, and even there, she deliberately gave very negative and disgusting comments about Islam to get people's attention. After this, under the same conspiracy, she was promoted more and more in the Western community. She expressed her consent to the plan of prohibition of the Holy Quran. In return, a lot of financial benefits were promised to her. Viewers, this woman modeled for a big fashion magazine. And in a desperate situation, she held the Holy Quran in her hand and made a photo shoot. We cannot fully describe those things here because of our pride, that how she did this. But where the oppression on Muslims increases, and they cannot stand up for Islam, there Allah's law comes into action. After some incidents in the West, such incidents and bad campaigns are carried out in the government, so that the freedom of expression of opinion can be promoted as per one's will. This is the reason why Muslims are kept in strict vigilance that they cannot take any step in support of their religion. This famous and beautiful model, when she earned a lot of money from this disgusting photo shoot, then Allah's punishment began to descend on her, and she became a sign of lesson in the world. This model became a victim of a deadly and dangerous disease like cancer, and people forgot the fame that she got in 4 days. This disease of cancer is making her a sign of lesson in the world even before her death. Dear friends, this is the law of Allah which comes in action against such enemies of Islam. As Allah has promised in the Holy Quran that we have revealed this word, i.e. the Holy Quran, and we are responsible for its protection. We Muslims are repeatedly questioned on the religious importance and honor of Muslims, and our helplessness is taken advantage of. Millions of Muslims are living in these Western countries due to the economic situation, and the laws there have kept them stuck, because of which they can't even raise their voices openly. This model, which has tried to violate the word of Allah on the basis of its connections and money, no human being is ready to question it at this time. Such people living in the world are made a sign of lesson so that such enemies of Islam are aware of their consequences in the future. Recently, during a protest in France, a Muslim young man attacked a security guard trying to burn the Holy Quran. His video went viral, and that young man was also tortured and killed by the French police. The entire government is equally involved in this atrocity. The media of the world is silent on the murder of this security guard, because they are not allowed to open their mouths on this matter by their leaders. After this attack by this Muslim young man, more and more violence is being committed on Muslims in the whole of France. Although France is the only country in the Western countries where the population of Muslims is second to none. Despite this, Muslims are being restricted to their homes using state power, and they are not even given a place to worship by humiliating their human rights. In this situation, all the peaceful people of the world are worried. But where the matter is of oppression and discrimination, the infidels do not bring anything to their attention. For a long time, there has been an organized and despicable campaign against Islam. And now, through the Dajjali media, the statements of the Muslim youth are also being distorted and distorted. In the name of liberalism, atheism is being sold all over the world, so that this Dajjali media cannot be accused that it promotes a particular religion, when the reality is that their purpose is not to preach their religion. This Dajjali media is actually a facilitator of the devil, and its only purpose is to mislead people as much as possible and remove them from the path of guidance. And her condition is so strange and terrifying that people feel disgusted upon seeing her. This model is currently waiting for her death in a state of extreme helplessness and ignorance, where she has a lot of money in her account. And how can she pay for this?